Welcome to Good Discussion Posts in an Academic Context, things that you need to know in order to successfully respond to discussion threads in the 10th grade civics course. This is a super important skill for many reasons that we're going to go over together. So why are we doing this? Well, this is a skill that is translatable to all your disciplines, and you will at some point in your academic career, particularly when you're in college, you're going to have to take an online-only course. So this is the primary way that you're going to communicate with peers and with instructors. It's going to matter for your grade, and when you're paying thousands of dollars for the class, you'll be glad that you've done this. Thirdly, the internet is a tool. It's only as good as the person wielding it, so let's maximize the quality potential of that tool together. So the best place to begin, I think, is with some general rules of thumb, keys to good discussion posts. Firstly, make sure that you're answering the prompt directly. If the prompt is asking you to do something, make sure that you do it. Make sure that you're mindful of command terms. Secondly, make sure that you answer the prompt uniquely. We're interested in what you have to say about this subject. What are your original thoughts? Make sure that your prompt reflects your original take on the situation. Thirdly, make sure that you answer the prompt completely. As you'll see in the exemplar that's about to follow, be wary of multiple parts to a prompt to make sure you do all of them. Fourthly, make sure that you answer the prompt and respond to classmates respectfully. It's important that we disagree in this space. That's academically healthy, but make sure that we're disagreeing without being disagreeable. And let's lastly make sure that we always use academically appropriate language. This may be the internet, it's not Facebook. Make sure that you're academically appropriate. So on your screen now is a discussion thread from a graduate class that I took at Mercy College for my master's degree in education. And I love this prompt for a number of reasons. The professor really did a great job here. Firstly, it asked you to identify what, in your view, is the purpose of public education. So it's a low-level command term in the IB, but then it asks you to evaluate and analyze, right? To what extent that purpose is being met is the evaluation, and then the analysis. What are the barriers to more fully meeting that purpose? This is a cool question. It also brings to mind one of those keys that we brought up earlier. Make sure that you're mindful of the multiple threads or the multiple prompts within the prompt, that you're addressing all of them. This also demands, notice the paragraph there, although it is based on your own perspective, you must provide some depth in support of your response. By depth, this is a good general rule of thumb as well. Make sure that you're providing like real evidence and heft to your response. Don't make your response to a prompt like this or a prompt in our class just sort of an unsubstantiated mush. This prompt, like many, also demands a response from students to another student's prompt. So we're going to go over that part after we look at and break down an initial response, right? So you should see what an initial response looks like that's good, and then you'll see what a response to a response looks like that's of a high quality. So let's take a look at what I consider to be a really great response to this discussion prompt. This is put forward by a classmate of mine who we'll call James because that's his name. He begins by identifying very clearly the purpose of the post, right? And responding to the purpose of public education. Then goes straight into the evaluation, responding to the second part. Now, what James does really well here is he also identifies the very specific ways that he believes that the purpose is not being met, right? His negative evaluation. What perhaps would improve on this response is perhaps the extent to which it is being met, providing a more balanced approach, right? So putting forward some successes in addition to failures, or a success to blend in with the failures there, because it's not public education isn't a complete loss, right? Then James goes a step further. Look in the third piece there. Not only does James identify barriers, but what makes this such a superior response is that he then goes on to identify some solutions, right? Now, what would make those solutions stronger is if James brought perhaps some scholarly data to the table, right? If James brought forward an article in a peer-reviewed journal about his solution or proposed solution being a successful one. But on the whole, this is good because it's complete, it's thorough, and it's direct, right? So this is a great response. So you've seen what an initial good response to a prompt looks like. Now we need to discuss responses to student prompts, how you continue to generate discussion. This demands that you respond to at least 2 of your classmates, one of whom basically agrees with your perspective and one that offers a differing view. These responses should also be well considered. By well considered, we mean informed by data, informed by experience. Of note also is that this professor allows students to begin prompt responses with "I agree" or "I disagree." This is a pet peeve of mine, Mr. Podell. I do not like this. And in our civics and government class, you won't be allowed to do this. I think you should really be stretched to express yourself differently in your responses to student responses. And we're going to get into that by breaking down the response that I offered to James's response that you just saw. So this post that I've offered in response to James's initial post is kind of an agreement post. It agrees with the general purpose, the first thing that he had articulated. But the thing that makes this cool as an agreement post is that it's also kind of a disagreement post. It asks for clarification. Note in the second line where I say I would push back. It's not a simple "I disagree." I'm asking him for clarification or proposing an alternative, right? That's what good quality disagreement is, right? So take a look at the second paragraph. I make some suggestions that, maybe what we're putting forward requires a different sort of thought process, that it's not nearly enough to look at what would be the typical answer, but that we want a better answer. You also kind of learn a lot about me in this post. It's uniquely mine in that this is why I love teaching civics and government. I really want to understand how we can make a better, more informed electorate. Note the end of the response. This is where it goes, guys, from good to great. In my own evaluation of myself, I get it, I'm biased. I throw out a question to the group. Really great discussion responses are also generative of further response. This is a technique that you might want to use throughout the course of this class. I ask for a quantitative measure to distinguish informed participation from general participation. This got some good responses from fellow educators that I was taking this class with. So throw this out there to the infinite wisdom of the group that you work with. You work with some really bright students at STEM who are willing to go the extra mile, who are willing to really engage in consideration of class material. That's the culture that we have here. And it's part of fostering a really good online culture in a course. The bottom line here, guys, is that your online culture will only be as good as you choose to allow it to be. Let's create a really great one together. So remember these keys that we went over at the beginning of the video. Direct, unique, complete, disagree without being disagreeable, and academically appropriate, and you should be fine. If you have any further questions or concerns, as always, make sure that you reach out to myself, Mr. Wolf, any of your other instructors in seminar, before school, after school. We are here to help you succeed. This is an important skill that we're going to grow together this year.